a Cambridge Olevel Environmental Management paper. This paper is for May-June 2021. May-June 2021, and it's for 1 hour 45 minutes. So I just want to have a quick walkthrough. I've had a lot of students sending me messages on me having a walkthrough of O-level environmental management paper. So I'm going to look at that now. And quickly, please, if you've not subscribed and you're watching this video, please, I need you to subscribe. So quickly, the first question is, the diagram shows a population pyramid for a more economically developed country, which is an MEDC. So here we have a population pyramid. And anytime you're given a population pyramid, you should know it's divided into three parts. Here we have this, and here. So here is the young dependent. Here we have the economically active population. Economically active. And here we have the old dependent. Now I give you this sex percentage of different sex within that country, and in this case you have male, female, and the middle here you have the age group and the percentage of the population. Now they say identify the age group with the largest percentage of males. So if you look at this, you find this should be the largest one, and the age group is between 40 to 44. That's all. Then the next question is, describe the population structure of the MEDC shown in the diagram. This is quite easy, so because the answer is what you are looking at. First, you look at this dependent ratio. So you find out that there is low young dependent population, or the young dependent population is small. Then you find out that there are more females than males among the old dependent population, and you can bring in statistics too. The largest female group is this, which is around 65 to 69. You can look at this. You find out that some people, mostly female, live up to 100 years. That's the life expectancy. So most female live up to 100 years. So female live more than male. There are many economically active people. So you find out that here what I'm going to write is, they have low young dependent. They have low young dependent and old dependent. You find out that they have more economically active people. Economically active. And from here you can also tell that they have low birth rate because of the few young dependent, and you find out that they have more economically active people. Some people live up to 100 years. Some people live up to 100 years, 100 plus years. You can look at this. You can also give the largest female group is within the age of 60 to 65, which is around 5% of the total population. So 5% of the total female population is within the age group of 65 to 69. Okay, so that will give you a full mark. Now state the reasons why people migrate from a country. So this can be both when you look at forced migration and voluntary migration. So you can look at things such as lack of food can make people move. That's starvation. Another thing can be people move for better jobs. People can also move because of better education. People also move because of war. People also move because of poverty, that they have very low standard of living and they want to improve it. People can also move for religious reasons. People can also move for better health care. So any of this, we go. Now here we have the diagram shows part of a farm in Africa. Okay, now they say describe the type of agriculture shown. So this is pastoral farming, which is the cultivation of what is it called? Cultivation of animals. That's just it. So pastoral livestock farming, cultivation of animals, and in this case is in a large scale, so it's commercial to sell to the market to make profit. So what you just write here is a pastoral farming. Pastoral, so which is the rearing of animals. Now, because of the size of the farm, you can tell that this is commercial, or because it's in a large scale. So it is in commercial, that means it is sold for profit. Now they say explain why soil erosion is a risk on the farm. Now let's go back. From the diagram you'll be able to tell some of this. So first we have large concentration of animals, so there's a lot of animals, so you expect that overgrazing will be taking place. So first you have lots of animals, and since there's lots of animals you expect overgrazing. And if you look at this farmland too, there is no plants around, so the ground will easily be exposed to soil erosion and lack of trees. Only just one, you can see only one here, so there's lack of trees, and lack of trees means there will be less interception of rainwater, so it have access to the soil, and there are no wind breaks, so wind breaks is not available, so the soil cannot easily be washed away by wind. So that's all. You just come here when I say large concentration of animal, so you expect that you have things like overgrazing taking place. So there's a possibility of overgrazing. Now lack of plants, um, lack of plant, so there will be low interception. That's interception of rainwater. Interception of rainwater. So you can look at no wind breaks, which are stated. No wind breaks available. No wind break. So any of that you go with, you get your answer. Now, complete the table by putting the rocks in the correct column: basalt, granite, marble, limestone, shale, and slate. Example, you know that granite and basalt are all igneous rock. So I've seen this question a lot. Granite, basalt are igneous rock. Metamorphic rocks are marbles and slate are metamorphic rocks. So marble, slate are metamorphic rocks. Then limestone and shale obviously are sedimentary rock. Limestone and shale. Now, say describe how sedimentary rocks such as sandstone, which is also another example of sedimentary rock, is formed. Now, sediment first, it comes from eroded weathered rock. That's where it comes from first. So sediment comes from eroded weathered rocks. Now, once it comes, then what will happen? You find out that once the rock is weathered, which can be igneous or metamorphic rock, the sediment will now be transported by water or wind. Sediment transported by water or wind, whichever. Then once that is done, you find out that the sediment will now be deposited in layers. Sediment now will be deposited in layers. So once the sediment is subjected to pressure, to prefer the word heat and pressure, what will now happen is the last stage. Find out that will now lead to compaction and cementation of the sediment to form sedimentary rock. Compaction and cementation of the sediment to form sedimentary rock. So, okay, here we have the photograph shows a quarry where gravel is extracted. So describe the impact of this gravel extraction on the local environment. Now, for you to extract gravel first, there will be the impact will be loss of vegetation. Vegetation will be destroyed. So if there is loss of vegetation, you can bring in multiplier effect. Loss of vegetation. Let me see. Let me just answer it. So describe. So there will be loss of vegetation. And if there is loss of vegetation, that will now lead to reduction in biodiversity because there's no vegetation there. Reduction in biodiversity, and this can have disrupt the food web or food chain. This can breaking the gravel or the rocks to make gravel because noise pollution. And I think that's the major stuff. So let's move. Section B. There's a long-term drought is a risk to life in many countries. Long-term drought is a risk to life in many countries. So we have the bar chart shows historic data for the number of deaths caused by some long-term drought in the 20th century. So if you look at country and year of drought, so we have China down. So this is a bar graph. So what's the question now? Identify which country had the most long-term drought shown on the graph. So sorry, I think that's China. So China. Now calculate the total number of deaths caused by long-term drought in China. So you come back, China. In China, the drought occurred in this year. So where do we have China again? We have China here. So you get the value, the both value, and you add them together. This is 3.0, 3.0 plus this is 0.5. So total will be 3.5. Remember the unit, millions. So I have 3.5 millions. Okay, it's already there. Now describe death is one of the impact of drought. So describe other impacts of long-term drought. So long-term drought will lead to lack of food. Lack of food obviously will lead to what? Starvation. Long-term drought will lead to lack of food, starvation, reduction in income of farmers, reduction of farmers' income. So drought will reduce water availability. Drought will also lead to forced migration. People will tend to leave. Droughts can also lead to increase in wildfire. Yeah, because most of vegetation is dry. Increase in wildfire. Another thing is, you see, this drought can lead to conflict between areas as a result of dependence on food aid. So dependence on food aid. Okay, so let's move. Long-term drought in MEDCs are less likely to result in large number of deaths than long-term drought in LEDCs. Suggest why. Simple. LEDCs are less economically developed countries, and more economically developed countries, you find out that more wealth in MEDC than LEDC. More wealth in MEDC than LEDCs. So you find out that MEDCs have emergency plans, and good prediction. than LEDCs. You find out that than LEDCs. You find out that MEDCs also have usually have large food stores, also have money to import. They also have money to import food. MEDCs also have can have irrigation schemes. MEDCs can have irrigation schemes. Irrigation schemes. So they can cultivate even in the presence of drought. So let me see if how many points. This is a 4-mark question, so that will give you a 4-mark, and you find out that MEDCs also have better infrastructure, which they can actually use in transporting food to affected areas. So a scientist said long-term drought are expected to occur more frequently in the next 50 years. Suggest reasons why long-term drought are expected to occur more frequently. This is strictly because of climate change. Climate change, which has led to increasing, which has led to global warming, which has led to global warming and increased evaporation. Global warming using increased evaporation, so there can be more evaporation, so obviously there can be more drought, and also increase in population has led to deforestation. Increase in population has led to deforestation, and once there is no vegetation, there is more likelihood of drought. Now, suggest why people continue to live in areas where long-term drought have occurred. Most of the times is you have family ties because of their family live there. Family live there. Also because of their jobs, because of tradition. Another time they might not there is no money to move. That's it. Now we have question 5. So the map shows the location of salmon fish farm in Scotland. We have the national borders and we have salmon fish farms. So these individual dots indicate the farms, and this is the border. It's in Scotland. You have the scale and the compass direction. So they say describe the distribution of salmon fish farm shown on the map. So the first thing I normally tell students to do is, once you have a question like this, the first thing you should do is draw your cardinal point at the middle of this. So I know where my north south is. So never ever smoke weed. Now, if I have that, you find out that this salmon fish farm is located at the coast. So the first point you put that is usually at the coast. Now, another point you could get is if it's at the coast. Now, we're looking at distribution, how it is spread. You find out that it is usually around the western edge of Scotland. So, western part of Scotland. Western part of Scotland. Now, if you also go up, you will find out that you can also find it at let's go up. This area is around the northeast. This is northeast, and this part here is northwest. So it's found within northeast and northwest regions of this one is northeast region of the North Sea, and this is northwest region of the Atlantic Ocean. So simple. So northeast of the Red Sea, northwest of the Atlantic. Remember, I've already stated that it's found around the coast. Another thing I stated is also found in the western part of Scotland. That's it. Give you your 3 marks. Now we have another question here. So the article describes changes in salmon fish farming in Scotland. So here we have salmon fish farmers reduce the use of a pesticide. So sea lice are parasites that feed on the bodies of living salmon. Now, salmon fish farmers in Scotland want to reduce the amount of pesticides used to control sea lice. Now, experiments to replace the pesticide with wrasse, small fish that eat sea lice, has been successful in controlling sea lice. Now, wrasse live in the sea around England. They are caught and transported to the salmon fish farm in Scotland. Now, scientists are worried that there are now fewer wrasse in the sea around England. They think this decrease is due to the demand for wrasse in salmon fish farms. Over the last 10 years, it is estimated that the catch of wrasse has increased from 2.0 million to 22 million per year. Suggests reasons why the use of pesticide on fish farm may be harmful to the environment. This is quite simple. So if the pesticide can enter the ocean first. Pesticide can enter the ocean. And if it does, it will be toxic to marine life, and if it is consumed, it can lead to bioaccumulation and eventual death. Can lead to bioaccumulation, and this bioaccumulation and toxicity can lead to death, and thereby it will affect the food chain. Now, calculate the percentage increase in the yearly number of wrasse caught. Now, it increased from 2 million to 22 million. So your percentage increase, is it 2 to 22 or 2 to 20? 2 to 22 million. So percentage increase will be the 22 million. minus 2 million divide by 2 million times 100. So remember, it is new minus old over old times 100. So the new catch is 22 million. The old catch was 2 million. So that's how you get the answer. And if you do this, you will have 2000. Sorry. If you punch your calculator properly, you have 1000% increase. Now, suggest reason why some scientists think that using RAS to control sea lice is not sustainable. It's not sustainable because RAS are caught from the wild. Find that it's not sustainable because the RAS itself are caught from the wild, and if it's caught from the wild, it also have impact on the ecosystem. That is why scientists are also complaining. And find out that there can be risk of bycatch in this process. So the fishermen can have bycatch instead of just catching only the wraps. So another major risk is that if you look at the text, the wraps is caught at greater rate. It's caught at greater rate than is replaced. So that's a very big problem. Now, question I think we're still on number 5. So the last part of number 5, then we'll move to number 6. So explain why fish farming is a more sustainable method of food supply than catching fish from the ocean. Okay. First, why fish farming is more sustainable is the first thing you should remember is no bycatch. No bycatch. Another thing is you can control their feeding. You can control their breeding. You can control harvesting. You find out that you can also control disease. You can find out that in fish farming there is faster growth and yield. So it's more sustainable. There's less damage to the sea. There will not be risk of oil spill from fishing vessels. So now the diagram shows part of the carbon cycle. Key process. So this indicates different processes occurring. So what's the question? State the name of the process A, B, C, D. So I have A. Fossil fuel back to the atmosphere is combustion when you burn it. Now, from atmospheric carbon dioxide to land plants is photosynthesis. From land plants to dead organic matter, that's decomposition. Now, here they said atmospheric dissolved carbon dioxide, aquatic plants, aquatic animal, then dissolved carbon dioxide. B should be respiration then, because when aquatic animal consume it, they respire to release it back to water, respiration. So that's all. Combustion, respiration, and C is decomposition, and D is photosynthesis. Should I explain this in full? I think it's quite straightforward. Explain why fossil fuel are described as a non-renewable energy resource. First, it is finite. That means it can finish. Takes millions of years to form. So is used faster than is replaced. Now, suggest the impact of urbanization on the carbon cycle. Urbanization normally leads to deforestation. So if there is deforestation, there will be reduction in the intake of carbon dioxide by plant. So you find out that urbanization leads to deforestation. No, urbanization is the growth of towns and cities. So urbanization leads to deforestation. And deforestation means less plant, and if there is less plant, you find out there will be low rate of photosynthesis, which means less carbon dioxide is taken. So less carbon dioxide is taken, less CO2 is taken. Now, urbanization, remember I said, is the growth of towns and cities. So you find out that there will be also more use of fossil fuels in towns and cities, more use of fossil fuels. And if there is more use of fossil fuels, so there will be increase, which will increase the number of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This will increase CO2 in the atmosphere. So you find out that this deforestation also reduce carbon sinks. So there will be less carbon sinks. That will give you a mark. Question 7. This is some environmental scientists investigated source of marine oil pollution. Now the table shows their result. Complete the table by calculating the total estimated mass of oil pollution. This is straightforward. Just use your calculator and punch all these values. This will give you your total answer, and this will be 1,057,000, and then this blah blah blah. You get if you put your calculator, the total you should get is 1,245,000. Now they say calculate the percentage of oil that enters the marine environment from the seabed. So oil that enters the marine environment from seabed. Let me see. Source of oil pollution, seabed. So that's 600,000. So what you do, percentage is 600,000 divided by 1, 2, 4, 5. This times 100. If you do that, what you get will be 48.2%. Now, so just one reason why the mass of oil is estimated. The reason why it will be estimated is because it is difficult. It's usually difficult to identify the source, difficult to identify the source, and another major reason is if there is oil spill, you find out that the ocean current also moves the oil. Now, so use the data from the table to complete the bar chart of the source of marine oil pollution. So label your axis. Usually once you are given a table, this is your X, this is always your Y. Your X always comes before your Y. And that means this is your independent, and here you have the dependent. And if that is the case, to label the axis on our X is source of marine pollution. So you just come down, write the source of marine pollution. Then your y-axis, you estimated mass of oil per. Just copy everything. Just copy everything that's here and come to your y-axis and write it. And you write it here. So once you do that, you plot. In order to manage time, I'm not going to do that. You can download the past paper and do that yourself. It's a 3-mark question. Only identifying the axis will give you 2 marks in that aspect. Describe the impact of oil spill on marine ecosystem. Okay. First, the oil is toxic if it is ingested by marine organisms. Another thing is it blocks the gills, so it reduces block gills, so reduce respiration. So reduce respiration, which can lead to death. Reduce respiration, leading to death. Another major impact is it can also block, because it covers the water, so it can block sunlight. So reduce, if it blocks sunlight, so it reduce photosynthesis by aquatic plant. Doesn't just end there. You find out that if it reduces photosynthesis, it will have an impact on the food chain. Or you can put web or ecosystem, whichever. And you find out that birds will want to prey on fish and thereby they get their feather coated with oil. Feather coated with oil, which will prevent flight, and them too can actually die from it. So oil tankers are a major source of marine oil pollution. Describe strategies to reduce the risk of oil spill. One of the strategies to reduce the risk of oil spill is use a double-hulled oil tank. Use double-hulled oil tank. You should always remember the MAPOL agreement, marine oil pollution MAPOL agreement. Just write it this way, you get the full mark. MAPOL agreement. You can also use things like you can prefer to use oil pipeline. Use oil pipeline than ships, which is better. Next, you can use defined shipping route, and if you use defined shipping route, it reduces risk of collision. Defined shipping route to reduce risk of collision. So that will give you a full mark. It's no big deal about that. Okay, 19, page 18, sorry, we'll soon be done. The table shows the source of global greenhouse emission. Okay, great. Now, one major thing I tell my students is if you add all these values together, it will give you 100. So, if this is the global emission, sorry, I'm coming. Okay, like I said, if you add all this, it will give you 100. So, first question is, I say use the data in the table to complete the pie chart. Now, if I want to complete this, it's 100, so this is 0, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, bring me back to 100. So my first one there is 25, so 25 will be at the middle here, and that's electricity, so I can decide to bring it to your key, differentiate. The next one is 24, agriculture, so 25 plus 24 will give me 49. So if this is 40, it's close to 50, so 49 will be. So my 49 will be somewhere here. So I can now use then I have another one here, industry. So industry is how many? Let's see. Industry is 21, so 49 plus 1 will give you 50, plus 20 will give you 70. So that's industry. So I can decide to use these straight lines. Then next I have transport, 14. So this is 10, 80, 10, so that will give me 84. So I can make this one this way. Then construction is 6, so I'll take it to 90. Can use M for Matthew. And lastly, others is 10. You can set to leave it blank like this. Gives you your key. So you're done. Describe how atmospheric pollution can cause acid rain. Simple. Things like the release of SO2 or nitrous oxide. What will happen is so SO2 and NO2 and dissolve in rainwater to form form nitric acid, or you can have sulfuric acid. So what will now happen? You find out that the pH of the water will now be reduced. It's reduced, leading to what? An acid rain. That's all. Now, this is a 6-mark question. First, let's say a student says, we cannot allow the level of atmospheric pollution to. Now, in order for you to answer this question, what I normally tell my students is, you always look at two sides of the argument. So in this case, we are looking at to what extent do you agree with this statement. You should write the reason why you agree with this statement, and also the reason why you state some reason why you disagree with this statement. So you look at the two sides of the argument and you now make constructive evaluation and conclusion of that content. Now, if you look at this, they said we cannot allow the level of atmospheric pollution to continue increasing. So international laws are needed to force countries to reduce their atmospheric pollution by at least 20% over the next 100 years. Now, if you want to look at the agree content here, if I agree with this, and that can be as a result of you find out that the level of atmospheric pollution has increased globally. So the level of atmospheric pollution has increased globally, and this is due to increase in population. This is due to increase in population, POP, and industrialization. Which has both led to air pollution, water pollution, and the rest. Now, since you find out that you're looking at atmospheric, so it's air basically. So now you find out that the air pollution is actually toxic to humans, and it is not limited to international boundaries. So it is usually toxic to humans and not limited to international boundaries. Why? Because air can move this pollutant from one region to another. Region to another. So everybody is affected. You get it? So this air pollution, which lead to global warming. So you find out that the air pollution, leads to climate change and eventual global warming. Which causes sea level rise, and this sea level rise can also lead to flooding, destruction of land, which can cause food scarcity. So therefore, for complete reduction of atmospheric pollution, there should be international laws and agreement because it is a global issue. However, it will be difficult for all countries to agree. Because some countries are more polluters than others. I.e., less economically developed countries are less polluters. Abeg, I dey do something. No put follow. Than more economically developed countries because of less industries. So, general agreement of 20% reduction will not favor all the countries equally. So, general reduction of 20% will not favor all the countries equally. The percentage reduction should be in line with the level of pollution released by that country. So the percentage reduction for a country should be in line with the total percent produced by the country. percent produced by country. Now, in conclusion, there should be a fair law on percent reduction such that total produced by country will be equal globally. Now, this will give you your full 6 marks. So, you see, I was able to state why I agree with the statement. Then, at this point here, where I wrote, however, where is it? However, that is where I switch and gave some reasons why I would not disagree, then come up with my conclusion. So, if you're able to structure your answer in this format in a 6-mark question, you should be able to get your full mark. So please subscribe for more and stay tuned for Management in Context. Thank you.